Congratulations, you are our free grocery customer of the day.
I saw you on your Instagram last night saying you would do anything for me, and you know that I would do the same thing for you, anything, and I hope I proved.
Rapper Nicki Minaj is teaching college students all across the country that it pays to get good grades.
What's good, bruh? Can you pay for my college tuition?
I could pay for that.
I know you can.
But this is the thing, though. If I pay for your college tuition, are you going to finish college? Or are you
Of course. Nah.
Okay, settle in, because these stories are different. We're not talking about red carpet photo ops or celebrities smiling next to giant cardboard checks for the cameras. We're talking about the ones who quietly paid a stranger's hospital bill and then walked out the door before anyone could even learn their name. A movie star who stepped in during the worst moment of a woman's life, covered everything, and never said a word about it. A pop legend who watched a heartbroken stranger on live TV and fixed her biggest problem, then made the producers swear to keep his name out of it forever. Some of these stories only surfaced years later. Some of them only came out after the celebrity had passed away. And the one I saved for last involves a little boy with no family left in the world and a quiet promise that lasted 10 full years. Every single story is real. Every single one was meant to stay hidden. If you're new here, subscribe, because we do this every week. And trust me, you're going to want to be here for this. Number 25. Let's start with one that genuinely got out of hand in the best possible way. May 2017. Nicki Minaj is just messing around with fans on Twitter when somebody half-jokingly asks if she'll pay his college tuition.
The conversation changed course when one follower tweeted this: "Well, you want to pay for my tuition?"
Most celebrities would heart it and scroll past. Nicki types back, "Show me straight A's that I can verify with your school and I'll pay it." And then her timeline explodes. Desperate students start flooding her with report cards, loan balances, and textbook bills they couldn't cover. So she just starts paying one after another.
I really want to personally take this time to thank you. Like, it's helping me so much. I've been paying for college out of pocket.
A few $100s here for course materials, a couple thousand there for a semester. She sat at her computer for hours that night, checking grades and quietly clearing debt for complete strangers. She wasn't doing it for attention. She just couldn't stop when she saw how many kids were struggling. Number 24. In 2003, a Toronto radio station offered $2,000 to anyone who could bring Colin Farrell into their studio. Around the same time, Farrell met a homeless man on the street who went by Stress. When he heard about the contest, Farrell did something simple and kind. He let Stress walk him into that radio station so the man could collect the entire cash prize. Sweet story, right? But that's not where it ends. 4 years later, Farrell came back to Toronto and went looking for him. He tracked Stress down on those same streets, took him shopping for proper clothes, then handed him enough money to cover first and last month's rent on a real apartment. He didn't have to remember a man he met once, years earlier. But he went looking anyway, and he got him off the streets for good. Carissa Collins and her husband were exhausted. 9 kids, a 10th on the way, and a beat-up 12-passenger van with the air conditioning completely dead in the Texas heat. During a random restaurant encounter, Shaquille O'Neal got to talking with this large, lovely family. He paid for their whole dinner. But the next morning, he showed up and took them straight to a dealership and custom ordered them a brand new 15-passenger van. Then he noticed the dad's work truck didn't have air conditioning or heat either. So he drove them to another dealership and bought them a truck too. Then he covered dinner again that night, quietly paid a stranger's tab at the next table, and left a $1,000 tip for a waitress who mentioned her own car was broken down. He didn't fix one problem. He kept taking care of everything that family was worried about. Number 22. A young man named Harry Pritchard from North Yorkshire got the news of his life in 2020. He'd been accepted into Lambda, one of the most prestigious drama schools in the world. And then the joy turned into panic because the tuition came with no funding, and he couldn't even afford the deposit to hold his place. So he started a small fundraiser and tweeted it out, hoping for a few shares. Within days, Russell Crowe saw it. No press release, no public announcement. The Oscar winner just quietly sent the exact amount the kid needed, right down to the pound, to secure his spot. Pritchard told the BBC he couldn't believe it when he saw the Gladiator's name on his donation page. One legend, removing the only thing standing between a kid and his future. Number 21, December 2018, a Walmart in Nashville. Kid Rock calls the store manager one Friday morning and says he wants to spread a little holiday cheer. His manager shows up shortly after and drops $81,000 to clear the layaway balances of 350 local families. These are working parents who had been paying off Christmas a few dollars at a time, terrified they wouldn't finish before the holiday. When they came in to collect their items, they weren't told it was a famous rock star. They were just handed a simple card that read, "Merry Christmas from your neighbor." And hundreds of kids woke up to presents under the tree because one man decided his neighbors shouldn't have to worry during the holidays. Number 20, March 2020, a grocery store in Florida. An elderly Vietnam veteran named Bud Phillips was quietly loading his groceries onto the belt. Bud had recently lost his wife of 50 years, and his daughter said almost nothing made him smile anymore. Cooking was about the only thing that still got him out of the house. Standing right behind him in line was Cena. He noticed Bud's navy hat, struck up a conversation, and thanked him for his service. And when it came time to pay, the cashier told the bewildered old man that the giant standing behind him had already covered his entire bill. The two of them took a selfie right there in the aisle, and Bud is beaming in it. His family said it was the first real smile they'd seen from him since his wife passed. It was never about a grocery bill. It was about a grieving man being seen. Number 19. Early 2020, the world is shutting down. A freelance music photographer named Holly Turner posts online in a complete panic, saying her income just disappeared and she's about to be evicted from her New York apartment. She wasn't asking anyone famous for anything. She was just scared. But Taylor Swift, who quietly reads her fans' posts more than anyone realizes, saw it, and she instantly sent Holly $3,000 with a note. Holly, you've always been there for me. I want to be there for you right now. I hope this helps. Around the same time, she quietly sent another $3,000 to a fan struggling with utility bills and $50,000 to a family that had just lost their father. No announcement, no tour tie-in, just quietly helping where it was needed most. Number 18, July 1975. A bank teller named Manny Person was standing outside a Memphis Cadillac dealership, just window shopping a car she knew she'd never be able to afford, when she noticed a familiar limousine parked out front. Inside, Elvis Presley was buying cars by the handful. He walked right up to this complete stranger and told her to go ahead and pick one out. She chose a gold and white Cadillac, and he paid for it on the spot. That same afternoon, he bought 13 more Cadillacs for total strangers wandering that lot. Over his life, Elvis gave away more than 100 cars to people who could do absolutely nothing for him in return. He just liked watching a stranger's world change in an instant. Number 17. Kunal Nayyar made a fortune playing Raj on The Big Bang Theory, but instead of fancy charity events, he developed a quiet habit. Late at night when he can't sleep, he scrolls through GoFundMe, looking for ordinary families being crushed by impossible medical bills.
Meanwhile, new families across the state are being buried under mountains of medical debt.
It puts a toll on things really hard because we both stress that we're scared we're not going to make it through the week because we don't have enough money.
And he quietly pays them off in full. No name, no trace. Just an anonymous donor clearing the whole thing while the family is asleep. He recently called it his masked vigilante thing and said being able to change a stranger's life in the middle of the night makes his wealth feel like a gift instead of a weight. Somewhere out there, a family went to bed terrified and woke up to a zero balance, never knowing who had helped them. Number 16. When singer Janice Freeman got eliminated from The Voice, the cameras stopped. But her real life kept getting harder. She and her family were sliding toward losing their home. Her former coach, Miley Cyrus, refused to let that happen quietly. Working entirely behind the scenes, Miley found Janice's family a 2-bedroom apartment, paid the security deposit out of her own pocket, and covered 6 full months of rent so they'd have stability. Janice later broke down on a live stream, crying as she told everyone what Miley had done, calling her a true friend who used her money to make real miracles happen.
Miley, you are my best friend, and I will defend you to the bitter end.
A lot of coaches hug their contestants on camera. Miley quietly helped a family long after the show had moved on. Number 15. George Michael was famous for guarding his generosity like a state secret. One afternoon, he was watching the British game show Deal or No Deal when a contestant got emotional explaining she was hoping to win money for fertility treatment after years of struggles. She lost. The very next day, George Michael secretly phoned the show's production company and transferred her the full amount himself, on the strict condition that nobody could ever reveal it was him. She went on to have a baby girl, and she only found out who had helped her after George Michael passed away, when one of the show's producers finally shared the secret. He created a life and made sure he'd never get the credit for it. If this video is already getting to you, do me a favor and hit that like button and tell me down in the comments which story has hit you the hardest so far, because we are nowhere near done. Number 14. Long before he was the most elegant man in Hollywood, Cary Grant was a struggling performer named Archie Leach, scraping by in New York. A friend quietly paid his doctor bills when he got sick and couldn't afford care. Grant never forgot that. Years later, when he was a global star and that same friend had fallen on hard times, he quietly returned the favor with money sent privately, no fanfare. His biographers describe this beautiful contradiction in him, a man who could be careful with small things, then turn around and secretly send large sums to friends and strangers in trouble. When a fellow actress was being treated unfairly by the press and abandoned by the industry, Grant quietly made sure she kept working and kept her dignity. Number 13. Sven Peterson spent 40 years as the beloved beloved poolside attendant at the Beverly Hills Hotel, looking after legends like Marilyn Monroe and Cary Grant. But by his late 80s, he had been swindled out of his home, and this gentle man who had served Hollywood's elite for decades was sleeping in his car. When old friends launched a fundraiser to get him a small apartment, it was barely moving. Then Sandra Bullock heard about it. She quietly deposited money into the fund with a sweet note attributed to her young son, Louis, that simply read, "Everything is going to be okay." Her name brought in more attention, the fund grew quickly, and Sven was permanently off the streets. This is the same woman who has quietly given $1 million to disaster relief on multiple occasions and barely let anyone notice. Number 12, September 1989. Bruce Springsteen rides his Harley into a small bar in Prescott, Arizona, called Matt's Saloon. He grabs a beer from the bartender, a woman in her 50s everyone called Bubbles. She had just come back to work after time in the hospital. Over the next hour, while Bruce got up and played with the house band, she told him about her medical bills. A week later, an envelope arrived at the bar addressed simply to Bubbles. Inside was a check for $100,000. He never made a statement. He never asked for a thank you. He just heard a struggling woman's story and quietly took care of it. Number 11, April 2020. 2 weeks into lockdown, during the early morning hours for seniors and high-risk shoppers, people walked into dozens of grocery stores and found something strange. A black plastic bag taped over the credit card reader. They got to the register, started to worry about their total, and the cashier told them their entire bill was already paid.
Tyler Perry paid for your grocery bill today.
Are you kidding me?
I'm not kidding.
That is great.
Tyler Perry had arranged for it to be credited to an anonymous angel. One man said he was completely stunned when they cleared his bill. A woman in New Orleans nearly fainted when the cashier told her Tyler Perry was paying for her groceries.
Oh my God!
Yes.
Really?
Yes, he did. He sure did.
He always tries to stay anonymous. It just keeps coming out. Number 10. Everybody knows Keanu Reeves is kind, but here's the part most people don't know. Back in the early 90s, his younger sister Kim was diagnosed with cancer, and she fought it for years. While he was filming Speed and The Matrix, Keanu was also taking care of her, cooking her meals and sitting with her through treatment. And quietly, in her name, he set up a private foundation that he's been supporting ever since. When an interviewer finally asked him about it, he basically shrugged and said he doesn't like to attach his name to it. He just lets it do its work. On top of that, he's known for quietly helping crew members in crisis, including slipping a $20,000 bonus to a struggling set builder and asking them to keep it secret. Number 9. Back in the 90s, an elderly woman named Mimi was homeless, sleeping in a plastic lawn chair inside a Santa Monica laundromat, surviving on tips for folding clothes. A broke, unknown comedian named Zach Galifianakis used that laundromat. Instead of looking past her, he became her friend and treated her with dignity.
I met Mimi in Santa Monica just hanging out in the laundromat. You know, where you meet all your friends.
Years later, after The Hangover made him a star, he came back and was heartbroken to find her still sleeping in that chair. So he quietly got her a real apartment and paid her rent and utilities every month for the rest of her life. He even brought his friend Renee Zellweger to help furnish the place and took Mimi as his date to a red carpet premiere. She lived in comfort and dignity until she passed at 95. Number 8. When Tom Parker, the lead singer of The Wanted, was facing a very serious illness, the standard treatment could only do so much. The additional treatment his doctors hoped might give him more time with his wife and 2 young children wasn't covered. Within days of his diagnosis becoming public, Tom's phone rang. It was Ed Sheeran. Tom kept this completely private until he passed away in 2022, only sharing it in the memoir he wrote before the end. He said, "I've never publicly said this before, and he'll probably be mad that I'm doing it now, but Ed is a very special man. He even helped out with my medical bills when I was having private treatment. He didn't need to do any of that." And Ed never said a single word about it himself. Number 7. March 2024, a packed arena in Kansas City. A fan throws a folded letter up onto Drake's stage during the show, and he actually stops and opens it in front of everyone. The fan's mother had just passed away, leaving behind a mortgage with no one to pay it. Drake reads it and says, "This is a lot of money right here." Then he adds, "But you know what? I'm gonna pay off your mama's house for you."
This is the outstanding balance right here. It's a lot of money right here. But you know what? I'm gonna pay off her mama's house.
That's $160,000, but I'm gonna pay it out of my pocket. Rest in peace to your mama. The place erupts. And this wasn't a one-off. On that same tour, he covered a fan's surgery, handed another $100,000 after treatment, and promised to help with another fan's care, night after night. Number 6, late 2004, a jewelry store in Santa Barbara. A young soldier, home from his first tour and about to deploy again, is standing at the counter with his fiancée. She's fallen in love with a particular bridal set, but it's $10,000 and completely out of reach. Quietly, Quietly, he tells her, "Honey, I can't afford that." Standing just a few feet away was Paul Walker. He overheard the conversation. He didn't introduce himself. He simply walked over to the manager, handed over his credit card, told them to put the ring on his tab, and slipped out of the store before the couple ever found out. The store kept that secret for nearly a decade. It only came out after Paul Walker passed away in 2013. Number 5. In the mid-1950s, a young entertainer named Sammy Davis Jr. was in a serious car accident that left him badly hurt and facing a long recovery. He was in his 20s, his career was just beginning, and he didn't have the money for the road ahead. Frank Sinatra, already a major star, quietly stepped in and paid his medical bills. And that was just the start of a 40-year pattern. Decades later, when Sammy was very ill and his finances were frozen, Sinatra reportedly helped cover his living expenses so he could spend his final days in his own home. He did the same for his ex-wife Ava Gardner, calling her every day and quietly helping with her care until the end. Real loyalty, shown in silence. Number 4. February 2021. A man named Ryan Fisher was walking dogs in West Hollywood when he was attacked and badly hurt. He needed surgery and a long recovery. Ryan was Lady Gaga's dog walker. Within hours, she flew his entire family to Los Angeles, paid all of his medical bills, and brought in trauma therapists to help him heal. Then she let him recover in her own home for months. He later said on camera, "I stayed at her house for months." She didn't just write a check and disappear. She made sure a wounded stranger had a place to heal until he could stand on his own again. Number 3. March 1996. Tom Cruise is having lunch at a restaurant in Santa Monica when he sees a young woman get hit by a car right outside. The driver doesn't stop. Cruise doesn't finish his meal. He's the first one at her side, holding her hand and calling for help. The woman, Heloisa Viñas, had serious injuries and no health insurance. Cruise followed her to the hospital and quietly covered her entire bill, around $7,000, then left. He never told the press. He didn't even tell his publicist. It only came out because she told the story herself years later. If he's not Superman, he can be Batman. Number 2. The winter of 2022. The UK was in the middle of an energy crisis. For a Scottish mother named Carolyn Hunter, this was life-changing. Her young daughter Freya had severe disabilities and depended on machines that needed constant power. When their energy bill shot up to £17,000, Carolyn faced an impossible choice. In desperation, she started a fundraiser. Kate Winslet heard the story and quietly paid the entire amount, signing it simply, Kate Winslet and Family. When Carolyn found out, she broke down in tears. One mother stepping in so another mother wouldn't have to lose her child. Number 1. 1994. Michael Jackson is visiting a children's hospital in Budapest, Hungary, when he meets a 4-year-old boy named Bela Farkas, who had no family left in the world. The boy was very sick and needed a transplant that wasn't available in Hungary. Michael didn't just write one check, he helped find a donor, paid for the entire operation abroad, and then quietly covered the cost of the boy's care every year for the next 10 years. Bela lived. He was adopted into a loving family and grew up exchanging letters with the man who had helped him. Years later, long after anyone thought he would, Bela held his own healthy baby daughter in his arms. From a little boy who got a second chance at life to a soldier who got the ring he couldn't afford, these stories all point to the same quiet truth. The people we admire from a distance are sometimes even better up close than we imagined. None of them had to do any of this. Tom Cruise could have finished his lunch. Kate Winslet could have changed the channel. Michael Jackson could have walked past one hospital bed out of thousands, but they didn't, and almost none of them wanted any credit for it. That's the part that stays with me. Real kindness doesn't need an audience. It just needs someone willing to stop and help. So tell me in the comments, which one of these hit you the hardest? I genuinely want to know. If this video moved you even a little, hit subscribe because we've got so many more of these coming. I'll see you in the next one.